with a dream to be synonymous with StarCraft. Elazer, a great story to hear. The support of his father, competition with his brothers, with his brother. I know that one a little well. What an awesome guy.
Yeah, esports that are becoming a thing as well, apparently too. Like these videos have been awesome, and they gave us some insight into like some of these guys' lives. And to see a father like this, like, you know, introducing his son to gaming and like even pushing him forward, like, I mean, I guess he did say I allowed him to become pro gamer. But I think that's pretty cool. You know, we had Showtime as well last year. That was kind of like in the same boat. I think it's really cool to see that these guys being supported by their family so much.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, as a parent, you want the best for your kids, and sometimes, you know, esports such a thing that's blown up in the last few years. Pig, it's quite a commitment to put yourself full time playing games and trying to make it work.
Yeah, I think that's something, you know, we've all gone through, but I think a lot of gamers out there watching at home as well can relate to that whole idea of growing up playing these games, being competitive, and to see it grow so much in the last, like, you know, 5-6 years, especially to where it is now. It's been really cool. Otherwise, we wouldn't be up here being able to talk about video games for a living. So it really is awesome to see Elazer have that support from his dad and his family. And he has shown us some awesome games last year and hopefully some more today.
Yeah, that's right. Elazer is going to be playing next today. It's we've got quite a matchup coming up. The boys in the pre-show were talking about this being one of the marquee matchups for today. Of course, he is playing in Group C. Dark took that first series against Elazer. We have Elazer facing off against herO now. The loser of this match will face off against Elazer later today. The winner will play tomorrow to find out who makes it to the top 8 at BlizzCon in Anaheim next weekend. And boy, oh boy, this group, not an easy one, but Elazer is one of those players that stands out. He's the only player here, the only other foreigner that actually took one of the WCS Circuit Championships aside from Nebu, who picked up 3.
Yeah, and he really had to work hard for that one. He's been playing very well this year. He had a big sort of stepping stone in the way of having herO block his path and a lot of qualifiers as well as these big tournaments. But Elazer really did step up to the plate. And I think last year his semifinals run came as a little bit of a surprise for many people. He made it to the top 4 where he did unfortunately fall to Dark 0-3. But that was a surprise. I think this year we're kind of looking at him and we're saying he's evolved as a player. He's finally got that championship under his belt. He's shown a level of consistency across all the matchups, which he maybe didn't have before. And I think Elazer does have a very strong shot here, and he definitely is one of the scarier names in this group.
Things that you look forward to in this series, Todd, when you look at a player like Elazer, getting into a matchup against a legend like herO.
Yeah, Elazer is insane against Protoss, and you know, I had a chat with him, and he told me a lot of interesting things. Like, for example, herO's vetoes, not what you would expect necessarily. I think herO vetoed Interloper and Mech Depot, so Elazer was like, I get 3 Zerg maps. So already he was kind of happily surprised about that. Then again, you know, it's herO, one guy who's more on the aggressive side of things, and very often like throwing in very unique builds here and there. But Elazer was telling me, like, if he plays standard, if he plays one of the builds that I kind of would expect from him, I think I'll be all right. It's more like if he does something unique and new that I don't expect, that I'm a little bit worried.
It's fair to say that Elazer is a player that is known for his consistency, being very good overall. Not someone that we see leaning towards any particular type of player. No, not someone who's going to cheese a lot or always try to drag it to the late game.
Yeah, at the start of this year, there was a moment of doubt where a few fans are saying, oh, he doesn't seem to be performing too well right as he was finishing up his studies and really transferring into just full-time StarCraft. But since then, we've seen such good, consistent play, and especially in the Zerg vs Protoss matchup, of course, we're seeing there the finals, which he clinched. He was actually down 1-3, a game away from elimination, had to win 3 matches in a row, and did manage to win there at DreamHack Valencia.
He's a very calm player that I think assesses situations very, very well. Even in last year's Global Finals, he got obliterated by TY, didn't let it get to him, played really well, made top 4, then again got crushed by Dark, but he used that as motivation to come back stronger in the next year and still play really well. And he's come a long way. I feel like he's one of the most evolved players here that we're going to be seeing this time around, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's even wearing turtlenecks in the video in the signature series that we saw.
He's got a good fashion there for sure. And
he's got that James Bond kind of style about him, yeah.
He had that big performance at the end of last year. Of course, he played very well this year. We talked a lot about the European Zergs, but in particularly the Polish Zergs that were very competitive with each other, always pushing each other forward. And it's been a nice journey to follow of Elazer. He comes in here as a player that he's not the super flashy guy. He came in, he said, I'm playing for myself. This isn't for other people. I want to be the best that I can be. but he's so nice, he's so polite. It's hard not to cheer for him. However, this guy, we know him as, he's done some flashy things when he picks up that first place trophy at tournaments, hasn't he?
Yeah, the cartwheel, his signature move, the Smiling Assassin, his nickname, one of the deadliest Protosses out there. He had a bit of a resurgence recently, you know, like he was flying a little bit under the radar, and then he came back at the highest level as of late, and he's been one of the absolute best Protosses in the world. And he's on Team Root as well, which, I mean, when you have cats on your team, you definitely are going to be
all the weird stuff comes
try
out.
To do some specific builds here and there that can do really well, and he's kind of embraced that style as opposed to other Protosses, you know, like Neeb, that look more to play like standard and mechanically. herO will throw in just very unique builds, very aggressive. Like, I mean, even with this highlight, like you see all these adepts and stuff, like these are the kind of aggression that he thrives.
Oh yeah, we'll be seeing a lot more of that throughout this series. He is a player who started off in Legacy of the Void very all-in with his games, very kind of almost one-dimensional, but recently he's added so much depth. He's still very aggressive, very wild, but he's got the macro to back it up. He's the player who halfway through the attack realizes he can't finish off his opponent. He'll add Storm behind that and go on up to that. And he really has, I think, revolutionized PvZ recently a little bit with the Mass Oracle transitions.
Right.
We've seen triple Stargate, Mass Oracle, but he doesn't just stick on it. He doesn't turtle up to carriers very often. Sometimes he will. A lot of the time, he's been just going back into the ground army. The same play we've seen players like Neeb emulate actually off him yesterday in the games. So I think he really is sort of a leader in the PvZ matchup right now. And you add in the power of some of his cheesy builds. He's the only guy who's done pylon rushes to Zerg since like the beginning of the Legacy of the Void beta.
He's an extremely flexible player, and we do have confirmation the games are ready to go, so I don't want to delay this one, boys. Although great thoughts, great to hear about this exciting matchup coming up. It's going to be Elazer versus herO.
Thanks, guys. This is going to be an awesome match, Roddy. Elazer versus herO. Elazer getting top 4 in BlizzCon, surprising everybody. I think as good as herO is, this is going to be very tough for him.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be one of the most fun games of the day because I think we're going to see non-stop aggression. I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath on both sides. Elazer knows herO very well. I think herO has a pretty damn good idea of what Elazer likes to do as well. The way that I look at Elazer, at least when it comes to foreign Zerg vs Protoss, is that you can't really catch him off guard with silly adapt timings, with silly Oracle into a bunch of adapts, because in general his defense is incredibly good. He knows how to split up his units, but herO is herO. herO always surprises Zergs. Even at the absolute highest level, you see that guy so often. I'm excited for this one, Tesla. It's going to be so much fun.
All right, we're now going into game number 1, introducing our players in the upper right. In the blue, from Poland, he is Elazer.
Having that fantastic run last year, obviously wants to do it again.
And down here in the center left, in the red, from Korea, he is herO.
Now, Todd already mentioned this in the little pre-game that the boys had over there in the studio. I want to say on the couch, but they're not really on a couch. It's like a broken-up couch. They all have a single seat.
It's like if you connect it together, it's a couch.
Yeah, exactly. If you would put them all together, they're on the couch. But right now, they're not on the couch. That Elazer said he was a little bit surprised by how the veto process went. As you guys can see, we are loading into Catalina for game number 1. Is that weird? It's a little bit weird. It's just because Catalina is awkward. It's a 3-player map. You can scout into the wrong direction. A lot of Protoss players are not a big fan of this map, but this is a map where, for instance, the Sentry really does make a comeback. It's not as wide open as some of these modern maps, so force fields can be incredibly effective on this map.
Yeah, any map where you have narrow valleys and pathways, the Sentry's definitely going to be useful. I got high expectations for Elazer going into this. He really impressed me last year at BlizzCon, I think along with everybody else. But I guess when I think about it, I really shouldn't be that surprised. All the way back to StarCraft 1, Poland was always a powerhouse with RTS. There would be StarCraft 1 tournaments where you could check the brackets online in Poland. There'd be like 100+ people signing up. So I'm not surprised to hear that he grew up playing RTS games and developed into a really powerful player himself. But going up against herO, this is a guy who's in really good form now. He was always known as somebody who would do some kind of timing attack, try to cripple the other player, and that would either end the game or the guy would be behind enough that it didn't really matter. But now herO has really developed and blossomed into a player who can kind of do anything. And with, I think, the best control in StarCraft 2, I think that's fair to say, Elazer's going to have to watch out for that.
Already kind of a weird opening. Now, once again, Catalina plays out a little bit differently because it's a smaller map, it's a 3-player map. You don't really know exactly what your opponent is doing early on. It's harder to scout. herO opening up with a Stalker. He can use that Stalker to pick off an Overlord if the Overlord overcommits. Elazer kept his Overlord safe, but herO going for the Stargate before the Expand. Not something we see super often. Even the fastest Stargates in general in this matchup come after the Nexus. It's a little bit similar to what Stats was trying to do yesterday against Special. That's obviously a completely different matchup. But you can see that the Protoss players are looking at Catalina. Alright, we gotta play things a little bit differently here, because this map is just not the same as your Odyssey and Ascension to Ire.
Yeah, this map really makes a twist in how you're going to have to prep for matchups like this coming in here. We've got the Oracle about to come out now with some few additional gateways coming down here. We see Elazer scouting around now south here with the Zergling as the gateway Wallen is going to finish up.
Now, what I do like is Overlord speed already being more than halfway on the way. You don't want to be surprised by herO. herO is a tricky Protoss player. Elazer knows that as well. He's going to spot this first Oracle. I don't think he's got any Spore Crawlers yet. Maybe he just wants to defend with Queens. But if that Oracle flies into the main, there is a good chance herO picks up 3, 4, 5 drones quite quickly. herO is wondering, should I go for the main? Should I go for the natural? He's going to see the Queens here. He can turn around, and now he can always take a look into the natural, where there is no Spore Crawler yet, but there is a new Queen. So far, very solid defense by Elazer.
Yeah, he's going to orbit around here. Looks like probably go up. He does confirm the third base over there. The Queens are in a position where it's probably going to be undesirable if he tries to dive in. Well, maybe if he goes... the Queens go up a little bit, he might try to poke in there. But no, with the Overlord spotting this, he's going to be able to drive this out.
Yeah, the Queen movement was beautiful, though. This is one of these things where it looked like nothing happened, but with the way that Elazer was moving that Queen into the main base and moving it back, he just denied herO any possibility. If that Queen from the natural doesn't walk towards the main, there is a good chance. Instead, he's going to go for double stasis now. One does get shot down. The other one is big, though, Tasteless. That's 6, 7 drones and a Queen.
Yeah, nice catch there. Back at home, herO's making 5 more gateways. He's getting the Zealot leg upgrade and getting the Robo as well. And this is very much how herO plays. What's funny about herO to me is that he does stuff like this all the time, these setup attacks. But it doesn't seem to matter if the other player knows that that concept is coming, not necessarily the build itself.
Look how low herO is on Workers, by the way. Oh my god, 34. He's just not mining any gas at all. I don't even think we're going to see him drop a Templar Archives anytime soon. I do like what Pick pointed out as well. herO is a very smart Protoss. He will start with this attack, and he's absolutely committed to it. But the moment he realizes, okay, it's not going to work, he will still take his gases. He will transition. He won't die trying and keep whopping in Zealot when it doesn't work anymore. But right now, Tasteless, it's really important for Elazer that he starts figuring this out. As our observer is pointing out, where is your Baneling Nest? Where is the Roach Warren? With just Zerglings, you're not going to stop this.
I do like what you pointed out there. The fact of the matter is this is a timing, but this is not an all-in where if it doesn't work, herO has to leave the game. He might try to tech out of it. The Warp Prism now coming in, unloading 4 Zealots, another big warp, and he's going to elevator the rest up to the high ground. We have Lings and Queens coming up. This area is not connected by creep.
Well, Elazer said he didn't want to get surprised. He's absolutely surprised here by 18 Zealots with charge showing up in his base. 5 minutes and 50 seconds in. These Queens are in an awful position. There's a good chance they will all get picked off. So far, decent movement there. There actually lands a couple of transfusions as well. More Lings streaming in. Must say, Elazer is doing a good job so far. Lost a couple of drones, but now he's going to end up losing the Queens as well.
The fight was pretty close, but in the end, there are enough bruised Zealots remaining that these drones are under a real threat. And did herO just make them dance for a second?
I think that was a little dance.
GG. That caught me off guard. The Zealots actually did do a dance. So herO adding insult to injury. It's funny because it doesn't matter who it is that herO's against. Everybody has a hard time with his timing attacks.
And that's the thing about Catalina as well. Catalina is just such an odd map.
Yeah.
I must say, I want to be a little bit critical of Elazer here. You play against herO, one of the most aggressive Protoss players in the world. You know he's going to hit you. Whether he commits to it all in or not, that doesn't matter. You know something is coming. And having Overlord speed as well, you are supposed to be on top of this. Because I don't even think we had a single Phoenix or Void Ray on the map. So, come on, the Overlords, you know, as soon as the Oracles are spread out, you're supposed to check to see in the main base how much gas is he mining. And of course, I want to give credits to herO. He did a good job in selling something that wasn't there. You know, he's like, hey, here's my prop. I'm going up to 3 bases, Tasteless. Obviously, he wasn't. That wasn't his plan at all.
This is the thing about herO is you have to assume that whatever it looks like he's doing is actually just not going to be it. Which seems counterintuitive if you're trying to study and learn this game. But I think that's a fair bet with herO, is that anything that he's doing, it's probably kind of the opposite. He's always masking. He's always disguising his strategy. And that's something that's really tough, especially for a solid, I think, overall player like Elazer who wants to exhibit his ability to produce, his ability to expand, is that somebody like herO comes in with such precision and assassinates you before you get to do whatever it is you wanted to do that game. You don't get to play the game you wanted to play.
I absolutely agree with everything you just said, but then there is still the but still, Elazer, why no bailing nest? You're playing against herO, you're playing against somebody you know, and he even said it himself, like, he can always surprise me. Bailing nests are really not that expensive. If he would have made a bailing nest and he decides not to morph any bailings, is it really going to make the difference between his Hydra Ling attack working or not? I just would have loved to see Banes, and I'm damn sure we will see Banes this map. As on Ascension to Ire, Elazer loves this unit more than anything else.
Let's see what happens. Down here in the bottom right, losing game number 1 from Poland, he is Elazer. And his opponent here in the upper left from Korea in the red, he is herO.
I definitely think it's safe to say that both of these players peaked in the middle to late phase of this year, and not so much early on. I mean, herO had a pretty rough start, I think as Pig mentioned as well, and Elazer, some people don't even know this, he missed the first WCS event. He did not go to Austin, but back then I shared a cap with herO. herO told me, he's like, Elazer's not even worried. He's sure that he's still going to make it to the global finals. I was like, well, that seems pretty hard after missing Austin, but he just like smashed it. He made it to semifinals immediately in Jönköping, won Valencia, which was obviously all that he needed in the end. So Elazer still peaked, but not too early, and I think the same can be said for herO. Made it to the finals of the Into Extreme Masters, and back then I must say Tosis was already on the herO hype train.
Yes, he was.
Tosis kept saying herO's coming, herO's coming, and herO absolutely delivered over the last few months.
I like what you were saying about Elazer back there, because, and we get to know a lot of these pro gamers working at the same events they're competing in, but Elazer strikes me as a lot more confident than some of these other non-Korean players.
Oh, he really is.
He doesn't seem to be fazed by losses, for one, whether that's one loss in a best of 3 or a loss in general in a tournament. And he seems to just sort of enter into a game and clear his head and do exactly what he practiced. So in this case, in this series, I highly doubt Elazer is shaken. But hero's a bit of an optimist himself, man.
Absolutely.
Hero's a very charismatic, very driven guy. And I was blown away when we saw him in the Super Tournament, how well he was playing. And he was beating everybody in that tournament basically the same way he beat Elazer in game 1.
Yep, just sharp attacks. Lots of units early on. He did a fantastic job with it. Now, we are hyping up Elazer quite a bit. We're giving him a lot of props. And if you haven't followed the WCS scene that closely this year, it's like, why? What is so special about Elazer? What makes his Zerg vs Protoss so good? I've said this a little bit before, but what I love the most is as soon as he gets set up on 4 bases, he is always active. He's always mobile. He doesn't sit back and go for a big Hydra Bane attack. He's the type of Zerg that runs by, kind of like Dark, right? Like looks for an opening. Is it not there? It's fine. I have a drop alert. He's going to drop Banelings on your middle line, not once or twice, not early on, but throughout the game over and over and over again, which makes it incredibly hard for Protoss players at one point to still have a valid economy. You think you're doing all right, and suddenly the Protoss has 37 probes, and you're like, oh my god, they're super crippled by all these Bane reigns that have been happening throughout the game, and I'm sure that's where Elazer wants to find himself this game, as we already see Overlord speed more than halfway done.
So the Adept is coming in here now. He needs to scout around the creep and just get confirmation on the rhythm, the tempo at which the Zerg is teching and macroing up. Oracles are now on the way. So far, this game does appear to be pretty much your ordinary ZVP, but I really want us to try, as we go through this game, to check herO constantly, because at any moment, he can kick it into high drive and try to go for an attack that's going to end this right away.
Yep, we do have that Speed Overlord flying into the main base of herO. First Oracle will get spotted. The second unit of choice is going to be a Phoenix. Now, Phoenixes do take a little while. herO going up to 3 bases super fast this time. That's obviously going to get scouted by one of these Overlords. But whenever I see one Phoenix, I'm always a little bit worried, you know, because that Phoenix is going to be used to push those Overlords away. And that's going to make it a little bit harder for Elazer to scout. And then you wonder, right, what happens after that one Oracle and one Phoenix? Did he cancel the Phoenix, or is it out? No, I guess it's out already.
I feel like when herO sets up these builds, he sets them up so that they work out better in a series, right? Like Elazer's going to be thinking about what happened in that last game. and wondering, is he going to do that same thing again, or is it looking like the same thing as last time, but it's not. So that's going to be definitely something he's got to keep his eye out for. The Phoenix coming over here is going to bully the Overlords back off of the map. So for the Zerg, the map is sort of a dark and empty place where he doesn't get to see if the Protoss is moving out.
That's a small little victory right there. One stasis definitely doesn't connect in the same way as it did last game. This time it's just a single drone and a little bit of lost mining time. Good job by Elazer keeping that Overlord as well. 2 more Stargates do go down, and this is one of the things that obviously Elazer would love to scout.
Yeah.
And I do think he will, though, because 1 Phoenix is nice, but there are speed Overlords, and 1 speed Overlord will absolutely find your way into the main base. Once again, good reaction time there by Elazer, not taking too much damage. I think the Phoenix just got picked
Phoenix
off.
just went down.
Okay.
Kind of a careless error there by herO. We're still waiting to see the exact moment when Elazer is going to scout this. Another trap goes down, and stunning, actually a surprising amount of drones back there. It's funny because when the Oracle first came into the game and we had that ability, we didn't see it used anywhere near as much as we do now. Now people litter the entire map with it or try to ambush workers with it. Okay, here we go. The Overlord comes in now, actually 2 of them, getting confirmation that it is 3 Stargates.
Yep, really good scout by Elazer. What I would like to see from Elazer, oh, he throws down the Spire immediately.
Yeah.
I thought we had a Hydra then on the way as well. Did he cancel that, or did he just not commit yet? Oh no, that one is already completed. All right, so Elazer does have the option to make Hydras, but there is a good chance we're going to see him open up here, maybe with some Corruptors. I'm personally a fan of the Corruptor. It could also be Mutalisks to just deal with these Oracles. Oracle's going to jump on these Queens, Tasteless.
You can see the Queens coming in now. They're running away. 2 go down, and the 3rd one nowhere to transfuse this. That was a very nice play. herO did lose 1 Oracle. And what happens with these this style that herO's using, which has actually gotten pretty popular in the latter part of 2017, is just building the Oracles up in a large enough amount that the damage comes out so fast, all your attacking units don't get to do what they're supposed to do, right? An Oracle fight is usually the shortest fight you can have in a game.
Absolutely.
So getting so many like this is super frustrating. If Elazer isn't set up perfectly before the Oracles get there, a lot of damage is going to be done.
That's a big scout, though, right there by herO, because he does spot this Spire, so he knows there is a Spire. He already was aware of the Hydralisk then, but now he knows about the Spire as well. I just want to know what Elazer decides to go for. Are we going to see Mutalisk or just a couple of Corruptors? I'm a fan of the Corruptor, and he does go for Corruptors, so I'm happy to see that. These Corruptors are going to make these Oracles pretty much useless, but of course, Corruptors, after you deal with the Oracles, they start to become pretty much useless. I mean, maybe you can use Caustic Spray here and there, but...
Yeah, it's a kind of a funny situation where you force them to get an answer, but the answer doesn't give you any real tools later on. You also got to remember that the Oracles, they're pretty nimble units, so you can end up hitting locations where the Corruptors simply aren't, and they're still going to do damage. So as far as a head-to-head fight goes, the Elazer should be okay, but he still has to deflect these and make sure they don't do enough harass that it falls apart for Elazer anyways.
And we already have that transition on the way. Blink halfway done, Warp Prism being warped in, +1 is on the way. herO, there is a good chance that he's going to be quite aggressive once again. Couple of Zerglings scouting out what is happening. They spot these Zealots, they spot the additional gateways. Bailing that's being thrown down now, and I think Elazer realizes that he's going to need some units real soon, because herO is not going to sit back forever. He's not turtling up to carry us. There's a good chance he's going to come with a pretty strong attack soon with a Warp Prism.
Okay, the Oracle's now rotating down here to the bottom right. Protoss is transitioning into getting a pretty solid ground army here as well. At the same time, though, as you were saying, Elazer also switching now into getting a solid ground setup. So we're basically getting into late game now, DBZ.
I'm worried though, Tasteless. I am worried about this series so far, because if this attack has potential to straight up end the game. Elazer is cranking out as many units as he can, and if he gets a few more Hydras, then obviously it's going to be fine. If he can somehow get a kill on the Warp Prism with these
that would be
Corruptors.
huge. You know, there's a blind spot right in the middle of the map, and he's just not quite able to get over there. And this is one of the problems, is Corruptors are not fast. So the Stalkers can come in and drive them down. This means the Oracles have an opening to come in here and do a lot of damage. The Hydra is being eliminated right away.
Oh, the Warp Prism took a lot of damage there, but in the end it didn't go down. But these Oracles did find an opening because herO is so active and mobile with his units everywhere. These Corruptors were way out of position, and herO didn't just lose his Oracles. They were still alive. They're going to jump on this Spore Crawler. A bunch of drones are going to fall. And don't forget about all these Stalkers that are looking to do some real damage on this fort base.
I think Elazer might just get decapitated right here, right now. So much damage being dealt in the main. Meanwhile, the Stalkers blinking on top of the hatchery. The Hydras are not in position. The Warp Prism still in the game, just in the upper left-hand side up there, which allows another warp in. Elazer has to hold on, or this game is going to fall apart right away.
Oh, that Prism is so low on HP, but he doesn't get it in the end, so more Stalkers are being warped in. herO is going to jump on top of these Hydralisks, while the Oracles did finally get cleaned up in the main. But is it going to be too late? Where are those reinforcements? The Queens could help out as well. That Prism really has to go down, Tasteless. If he gets another big warp in, herO is going to be in a fantastic position, and Elazer in even more trouble, and he knows it. He moves the Prism back. Elazer sort of stabilizes, but he's down 20 workers.
It's crazy what herO's managed to do by maneuvering that War Prism. He's just juking and jiving in and out of position. We even saw when he got close, looks like it should go down here. Then again, it's herO. Okay, this is definitely going to go down. You even saw him blink in front of the Hydras, so the Hydras didn't have surface area to try to get on top of that. Now, we have enough Stalkers here. It's a real threat to Elazer, although they're not at a really good angle. That's sort of a bottleneck they're trying to move through. But you got to be careful. If you get enough Stalkers and you're just good with blink, things fall apart.
And he's got a lot of them right now, Tasteless. I hear a thud in my ear right now. He's like, look at the super. And we're like, we're looking. It's 62 against 109. That is 44 Stalkers right now for herO. And yes, Hydralisks are good, but they ain't dead.